Welcome to Southern Soul Chats, where real conversations meet faith-filled truth. This season, we're stepping into a special series called Faithfully Funded, where we talk about money through the lens of faith, trust, and relational equity. Because every dollar carries a story, and how we handle money shapes not only our finances, but our relationships and our walk with God. I'm Dr. Miranda Ferguson, and this season I'm joined by Matt Miller, author of Two Sides of Every Dollar. Together, we'll explore money not just as something to manage, but as a mirror, revealing what we value, who we trust, and how we love. So wherever you're listening from, lean in as we learn to live and give faithfully funded, one step at a time. Hey guys, welcome to Southern Soul Chats. We are so glad that you have decided to join us for another episode. And believe it or not, we are winding down to the end.
Man.
Can you believe that?
I enjoyed being a co-host.
You've done a great job as being a co-host. And in case you don't know who our co-host is, we are joined by Matt Miller. Matt, take your moment.
Thanks for having me. I don't know what to say. I mean, Matt Miller, I'm a co-host.
He is. He's a co-host. And Matt Miller is here because we are talking through our season called Faithfully Funded, which where you say, oh, it must be about money. Well, it's somewhat about money, but it's also about relational equity. And Matt has wrote a book that you can find on Amazon and in our resources. And it talks about there's two sides to every dollar.
Yes.
And we've been working through that. And to catch you up really quickly, because I want to show Matt how good of a student I am, we've really been, over the last couple of weeks, talking about the 5 uses of money. And they are, we use our hand as our tool, okay? So we have generosity, savings, spending, debt, and taxes.
Boom.
And I did it under 5 seconds, I think.
You did. That's the fastest. Great job.
And if you've missed those, you definitely want to go back because they're very interesting and tied to a lot of scripture. And I think that you will find them very helpful. And that's why Matt's here, because I loved his concept and what he wrote in his book. And you should get it today. All right, there's a shameless plug right there. Okay, but today's topic is a little more unique. It does definitely fall within some of these parameters.
Yep.
Okay, but
it's akin to.
Yes, it's akin. Too. We've been talking about siblings. Like maybe this is is this a cousin or also a sibling?
It could be, one of the two.
It can be one. Pick what you want.
You do. Yeah, you do you.
You do what makes you happy. But today we're talking about estate and legacy planning. Or did I say it wrong?
Nope.
I got it right. Yay. Okay. So, and I'm going to be very forthright. And I told Matt this, Matt, this is not anything that I know anything about, period. Okay? Nothing.
And I think it's important that I state that I'm not an attorney and I did not sleep in a Holiday Inn Express last night. And so therefore, I don't know all things either. However, in our world, these two are very important to us when we think of holistic planning or planning that encompasses all matters of the household. These two are important.
I shared with Matt, I'm always very forthright about what I think and feel. And so when I hear estate or legacy planning, I automatically think about people who are wealthy. I think about that because those are the type people, and I've known a few who, they have things that they leave, right? Like tangible, that side of the dollar that is dollar. So they leave houses and cars and businesses and money and all these tangible items. But at the end of the day, if I looked at the Ferguson family as Jeremy as a being and me as a being, and then probably a lot of the people that we associate with in life and people we work with in our ministry, we're not the kind of people who are going to leave things like that. Even our own family, Jeremy's parents have passed. My mom is still here and my father, but I lost my stepfather a couple of years ago who was very close to me. And what I was telling you is that we'll get left cookbooks, pots and pans, Bibles. My mom has a great collection of magazines since the 1980s. So the things that'll be left to us are memories.
Yes. And I'm glad we're starting with this because some of these topics can, and I'll just be frank, I'm hoping that people aren't tuning out because we agreed that we're going to make this light and bright, and we're going to bring some opportunity to this conversation because I think it's super important. I'm going to say the exact same thing. So my grandparents on my mother's side, very similar, but I'm going to come back with some thought on that. Okay. One, I would disagree on some things in regards to you and Jeremy just simply being beings. You own a home.
Yeah, we do.
You have children.
Lots of them.
You're both employed. Jeremy's different, somewhat different than yours.
Yeah.
You do have possessions.
Yes.
And you have accounts.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not trying to call you out. Start it all over.
Yeah, that's it.
No,
Slap on the hand.
No, I assure you that's not what it is. But instead, what I would like to remind everyone, and we've said this from the very beginning, wealth comes in a variety of forms.
Very true.
And one of them, yes, are the things that are fiscally related, but then there are possessions, and then there are those memories. I think about years ago, a common thing that was handed down was China.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's not as popular now.
I am going to get China from my mom.
Well, okay, good. And I hope you actually help turn the tide some, because now it's very popular. What am I going to do with that? Which I kind of get, to be frank, because it's super delicate.
Yeah.
When am I going to use it? You can't put it in the microwave because some of it has metal lining on it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so
Yeah.
we use it once a year. So I kind of get that. But my point with
declutter. We're going to declutter.
Right. So in my home, no, I have pieces of furniture that I remember growing up, and I was like, who in the world was this? And I wouldn't say it out loud because it's my parents who bought it. And now it's in my home, and it's cool. It's old.
Yeah. Retro.
Yeah.
Retro.
And it's funny you say that because I recently asked my mother, I said, hey, a lot of these pieces, if you look online, I'm not a big social media fan or guy, but there are some unique ways to take antiques and make them really cool looking. And I remember literally thinking, I'm going to ask my mother if it's okay if I paint one of these pieces. Because I was like, I would have bet the farm.
We do not want to offend mother.
I would have bet the farm that she would have said, you're going to give that back to me before you paint it.
Defile it with paint.
Yeah. And sure enough, she said, yeah, son, I mean, if that's what you want to do with it, do with it.
Listen, I've got Corningware, tons of Corningware.
You want to explain to people what that is?
Yeah, okay.
They may not know what that
Corningware is, it's like baking dishes.
It's a brand name.
It's a brand name. It's not glass. It's a white.
Plastic.
It's not plastic. It's hard. Like you bake it. It's not. This is like grandmother's Corningware.
Okay.
And lots of it has lids or these big glass lids that have these big buttons on the top. And so when we moved here, my mom gave me like most of what she used in my childhood. What's been sitting at the top, and I rarely ever pull it out, but I just wanted it.
Yeah.
It just was a memory, right?
Yeah, nostalgic.
Somebody, 6 months ago, sent me an email laughing because they knew I had it, where there are pieces that I have going on eBay for $9,000 and $10,000. And they were like, how much do you love it? I said, let me get on eBay and look at this.
I'll show you how much I love it.
And but it was pieces that I own. But at the end of the day, I was like, no, I really want to keep that.
So let's run with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think it's important, and I love, again, how you thank you for referencing the book, but the two sides of every dollar, that's why I chose that title.
Yeah.
And by chance, people are joining us now for the first episode, which I'm glad they're here. What I mean by that is the two sides of every dollar, there are two sides, and they're uniquely different.
Yeah.
You can see one is completely different than the other, just like our hands are completely different from one side to the other. And you're exactly right in that some of the things that you have, it is going to be super important that it's not only documented, and that's the estate planning side.
Yeah.
It's also important to talk about the legacy. What is it that you would like your children and then their children?
Who's getting the Corningware dishes?
Well, no, I get it. No, I get it. Thank you. But who's getting the qualitative side of
right.
of this. And that's the legacy planning.
Yeah.
So if we start with how you teed all this up, threw a golf analogy in there. How you teed all this up, it's everyone. It's not those who are wealthy as the world sees them. It is everyone. My grandmother, I started that. My grandmother, my grandfather passed away first, and then my grandmother lived to 96, lived by herself for a long period of time. She had a home, and I won't say only a home, but she had a home. Well, the home aspect, it's super important that from a paper trail that's taken care of, because when we do pass away, which is another thing I would state.
Oh, we already said
We
two
don't
things are going to happen.
Death and taxes.
So now we covered taxes. So now we're to death.
Well, yeah, I guess in a way we are, for sure. And we don't know when it's going to be.
No.
So in regards to the importance of the estate planning side, that's the importance of it, because we don't know when that day is going to occur.
Right.
And God forbid, and unfortunately it's happened, both husband and wife, unfortunately, could pass away the same day too.
Yeah.
And so therefore, let's unpack and we'll keep it uplifting, but let's unpack the estate planning side, because it's different than the legacy planning.
Yeah, because estate planning is not just about your wills and your trust. I think after studying for this and reading your book, it seems like it's really about aligning your resources, your story, and your values.
Yes.
And knowing how you want to send them forward.
That is how I see it, yes. I think in regards to the industry could see things much more robotic. But I think that when you sit and you pause and you think through things, and you have some intentionality behind what it is that you want to accomplish, you can get very creative in these estate documents. Some of them, not so much. For example, I'll just speak to mine some. So there's the will, then there's a power of attorney for both the medical and the durable. And just in short, okay, the medical is somebody's going to make decisions while I'm alive. It's also important to remember that estate documents aren't just when you're dead.
Right.
A will is when you're passed away.
Right.
You have passed away. But power of attorney documents, I'm still here, but I can't make decisions for whatever the reason may be.
Right.
And so therefore, I have given the power to someone else to make decisions on my behalf. I'm going to pause for just a second and just remind everyone. I'm just going to state this for the record, because you can imagine the questions that we get asked. If you don't trust someone now while you are alive.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Do I even need to finish the statement?
No.
Then don't put them on your estate documents. It's just a word of advice.
Right.
There are, and sometimes that's difficult. Somebody may not have someone else, but that's a different story.
But isn't that something you want to start thinking through now?
Sure.
Not when you're in the hospital and you need critical life choices made for you
100%.
Or in a facility.
Yeah.
So I told you that this is something that I guess in your 20s and your 30s, you just don't think you're ever going to sit down and this conversation is, I never thought about this stuff when I was younger. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Not from my family, not from my parents' point of view, not from my own with my children. But now I'm, in a different phase of life, and this is a conversation that I'm having with my mother now. Her husband of many, many, many years, my stepfather, who I love dearly, passed 6 years ago. And thank goodness they already had some things in line, but it prompted my mom to really go ahead and start digging into her. So she pretty much did a lot of that, but there's still some loose ends in that 6 years since he's been gone. And so we've been having those discussions lately of, like you said, power of attorney. Here's what it looks like. Here's papers I need you to sign. If something happens, here's where this is. Here's the phone number you need to call. And those are not comfortable conversations. Like, I don't enjoy my mom explaining to me what's going to happen when she dies. Like, I'm not saying that I want to go have coffee and have that conversation. But now I do understand that it's important. And it has made me think about, like, our children. And Jeremy and I have been like, okay, we probably need to start, we're young. We probably have a lot of time left on this earth. I hope we do, but nobody's promised tomorrow. And so, what does that look like for both of us? But it's just conversations that you're going to have eventually.
Adulting is often difficult, and this is why
Always difficult.
and this is why I often stand firmly in regards to planning. It is a best practice for a reason, and this is one of those items, because you're exactly right. So these documents, will power of attorneys, 2 of them, disposition of remains, DNR, things of that nature, and it can vary by state, by the way, which documents are. Those are, cornerstones, but
right.
In various states, documents can change. But I would remind everybody that while you have the ability to have creative thought, I like talking about the will, because it can be a way to start talking about legacy. For example, in the will, special bequests. In the will, those things that you spoke of, Corningware, whatever it may be, moms often like to leave wedding rings to their daughter, or grandmother's wedding ring, make sure it gets to someone.
Right.
Guns in the state of Texas, it's a very popular
thing. It's a thing.
It's a very popular thing.
The safe. The gun safe is also very important.
Yeah, and I'm going to get my dad's 30-06 pump action. It's the first rifle that I shot a deer with. I want it.
Right.
My sister doesn't want it anyway, but I want it.
Right.
It means something to me. It's my Corningware.
Value.
It's my Corningware equivalent.
Yeah.
It will never be shot again, quite frankly.
Right.
But it's important. And so in the will, what I like about that is, what are the wishes that person would like to see carried out, and they're written. And in there, special bequests are. I love that. You can make statements, and you can tell a story if you wish, and it doesn't just be so legalistic that it's uncomfortable. It's an opportunity,
right?
And I dig that, because that not to make light of something, but to shed light onto something, I think is important.
Well, it goes back to what we talked about way back when about those conversations. Mm-hmm. That conversations are sometimes hard to have. Topics or like I said, adulting's not easy, but I would much rather have this conversation with my mother now than me guess what I think she wants, or it even ruffling. I have a sister, so even ruffling any kind of relationship with my sister. Like, I'd rather know what my mom wants, because at the end of the day, it's her stuff. It's her life. It's her legacy. It's all the things that she did with us. And, I want her to be able to do that. I want to know that we honored her well.
That's right.
When she's not here anymore.
That's right. And I want to go upstream just a tad, okay? Because without these documents, if you think adulting is hard with these documents, let me just emphasize, it's really difficult without these documents.
Right.
Because, for example, here in the state of Texas then will determine certain things. Without documentation, if something happens to a parent and now children, juveniles, the state of Texas decides, why would anybody want that?
Right. People, they don't even know your kids.
They don't even
know your children.
In my book, I specifically state one of the things that I can't stand about corporate America is they dictate which mentors get assigned to people. Why? That person doesn't even know that person, simply because they got more years of experience and they live in the same city, so you're going to make them mentors? Well, it's the same thing or similar.
Yeah.
Why would we want any state to dictate what happens to anything that I have? I don't. I would prefer that I say what I want.
Right.
And
then it's honored.
And then it's honored. And hence the importance of choosing people that you feel are going to carry that out effectively.
Yeah.
And so in regards to I think it's important. So that's the will. Okay. So in regards to the things that don't have beneficiary designations. So let's camp out there for a few minutes. Okay. Previous episode, we talked about investing and accounts and things of that nature. So accounts, which could include everything from life insurance to a 401k, IRAs, Roth, all those accounts, okay? they should have beneficiary designations. What that means is I have said who is going to receive this in the event of my death. If that is provided, then it goes directly to that person. Depending upon the account, life insurance 100% tax-free. Depending upon the investment account, that depends. But it goes to that person. If that is not written, if there is no beneficiary cited or stated, well then that becomes somewhat more difficult because that wasn't provided, the estate now is the beneficiary. And now that's got to go through probate, which is more difficult.
Which we're back now to the government making the decisions or guiding the decisions.
Well, probate is a simple way to think of probate, I think, is proving out of a will.
Right.
Well, if there's no will, oh my goodness.
It's a little harder.
It's super difficult. Hence the importance. Again, I really want to emphasize it is somewhat difficult to go through the process because you're having to think about the end of your life. And I understand that. I do.
Yeah.
Even as a Christian, believing and knowing where
you're headed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about my death.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that. But I think that's a responsibility that is great stewardship. This is a life that is a gift to me. And so therefore, I want to make sure that at the end of my time here on earth, that these things that I have that are in ownership of mine, that they are stewarded well through these documents. So anyway, that's the estate planning side. I'm not done with that yet. But again, I want to separate these things in regards to one's estate. If they have beneficiaries designations, then those accounts and things of that nature then go to the beneficiary. If they don't have beneficiaries, a house, a car, things of that nature, and there's actually documentation that you can create that helps with things like that. But that's for the attorney to speak of.
Yeah.
But those things are the things that go through, those possessions are the things that go through the will. Okay? And those are two different things. And I want everybody to understand that because that is of the frequently asked questions that we get. Oh, that'll go through the estate. No, you don't have to. That can go directly to that person, Oh, you have 2 children. Great. Well, then what's the percentage? 50-50. Great. Okay. Boom. Done. Oh, that doesn't go through the estate? No.
Right.
No. And there's no need to. And there are, in some instances, ways to avoid probate altogether, which would save the estate money.
Right.
This is I hate seeing this, but it happens. I'll just simply use a checking account. And somebody had a checking account. Say it had $200 in it. They pass away. There are ways to have avoided a $200 account having to go through probate, which will now cost $2,000
to get your $200.
to get your $200.
Oh my gracious! Now I got to figure out my check.
But there are ways to avoid that.
Right.
Okay. One of them, somebody's like, "Come on, Matt. Tell me
don't,
how do you avoid it?
Don't hold it back, man. You got to share here."
So a practice that can be used, again, I encourage people to seek legal counsel on this, but a practice that can be used is put somebody on the account with you.
A beneficiary.
Well, no, somebody on the account.
Okay, got you.
A joint account.
A joint account.
A joint account.
Got it.
Because you would want them to
See
have
how much I know?
But no, well, it's not a bad answer. It can be an accurate one, but not all accounts can have beneficiaries like that. But
right, got it.
So when you think of the joint account, you would want somebody to have access to that anyway. For example, if they're your durable power of attorney, which is the fiscal side of things, they can make decisions on all these money matters. Well, then them being on a joint account with you would then help them carry out your wishes.
Right.
So when one then passes away, well, they're on the account, and now that $200 can be used by maybe the executor of the estate. Okay, now somebody's passed away. The will specifies who's the executor, meaning who's going to make sure all this stuff gets carried out.
Right.
Okay. Well, now he or she then can use that $200 to close the estate out. And then, again, there are various ways to avoid probate altogether. It can be so much more simple than we make it. If we really just sit down
and take the time
yeah, and really come to grips with the fact that we are all going to pass away at some point, and this can actually help the process. And I want to specify this too, and make this less of a burden on all those that are going to be responsible
That's
for
what
it.
my mom keeps saying. My mom's like, you don't understand the favor I'm doing for you. Like, I don't want to die and have to be sitting there thinking about what are you doing and what are you having to think about. She's like, this is a very stressful thing, and I just want to take care of all of it. And look, I told her, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate this.
Yeah.
Like, thank you, because you know what you want. And I don't, the money or the shoes or the Bible or the clothes, I really don't care about any of that. Because when somebody passes, you are not thinking about those things typically. Yeah. I know I'm not. I'm thinking about the memories and the person, first thing for me is, well, they're Thanksgiving, Christmas, like they're not going to be there, and how life looks different in this moment.
Yes. And I think about my dad. So when my father passed away, we have similar stories. My stepfather, which I don't refer to him as that at all.
I don't either.
But for visual purposes, my stepfather is alive. My father passed away many moons ago. And you're right. You that first year, 2, 3, whatever it may be, we weren't the closest, but we had, I loved him a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we weren't the closest. And so, yeah, I did miss him. But now I do have that Bible. I literally have him in my office. And they're so old and dilapidated. They're
like falling apart.
Apart. Yeah. I have one in a Ziploc bag because I want to try to preserve it. And I would love to think about ways to preserve it.
Oh, I got you. I'll talk to you about it later.
Awesome. But in this Bible, there's literally a written will in it.
No way.
Yes.
Like when you turn to the back cover?
At the very back, someone wrote, and I bequeath this to this person. I give the back 40 acres to this person, et cetera, et cetera. There's a 4-leaf clover in there. There's a lock of hair in there. There's all these things because many moons ago, this was their file cabinet.
That's true. It was a very important book.
I dig it. It's a history.
Yeah, I love
no
that.
No pun intended. It is a history lesson because it's the Bible too, right?
Oh, it is.
So I get this history of not only my family, but and obviously the Old and New Testament.
I mean, this will kind of, I'm not trying to divert here, but I'm thinking about like my grandmother's Bible and probably my mom's Bible, that you see their Christian walk because back in the day, people took Bibles to church and they wrote.
Yeah, the notes.
They wrote the notes. My grandmother's Bible has more notes than it does typed. I mean, like, it's her legacy is in that Bible. What God was speaking to her, what was happening in their life, what stood out to her from a pastor's sermon. Same thing. There are bookmarks, kids' drawings, old tithe envelopes that may or may not have gum stuck in them.
Yeah.
But it really is a history book in the sense that it's God's history, but it's also that person's history.
Yeah.
Take your Bibles to church, people. Write notes in them.
I love it. Yeah, I'm a note taker on my phone, and I still use I use a Bible app. But anyway, so go back to the estate side. Yeah. And I like to think of it as that's the documentation side.
Right.
And I just want to remind everybody again that there are estate documents that are while you're alive, and then when you do pass away, and it's important that your plan encompasses all of those documents that are needed. If you then translate that over to, or maybe pivot over to the legacy side, when I think of legacy, I first think of, a lot of people think of legacy when somebody's passed away. They want to then start building a legacy. I would like to change that for everybody, everyone. Everybody who ever watches this podcast, and period. I would ask why. Why do we want to start building your legacy after you're dead?
That is true. I think if you really take a second to think about that, why is my legacy more important when I'm not here anymore?
Yeah, I'm here.
Like here I am. I'm breathing. I'm talking to you.
I love the memories that I have with my grandparents and sitting on my father's side, from Kentucky, there was, I mean, just beautiful just hills and porches and all this stuff. It was beautiful. And I remember that. And I remember sitting with Quentin, and that's an old school name. I love that name. And that's a legacy. They were building into and investing in me at an early age.
So wouldn't you say legacy is relational?
I think 100%. And what is it that you want to make sure that is continued from generation to generation? I once heard, and I love the thought, is if you would like to see how well what you taught was carried out, don't ask your children, is it in your grandchildren? Because if it's not that it went over,
right?
It went through,
right?
Which is why I love emphasizing the caught and taught experience.
Right.
We were while growing up, we were all caught and we were all taught various things. I don't think there's any way around this. Simply because, again, we're all imperfect people, and so we'd like to teach our children certain things, and then we're human.
Yeah, don't forget that part. Don't forget that part.
We're going to have elevated conversations behind closed doors, of which our children, unfortunately, will hear us raising our voices at each other.
Yes, they will.
We're going to say things inadvertently when somebody pulls out in front of us. We're going to spill coffee and go,
yeah.
And
if you're lucky, your kids will go to church and tell their Sunday school teacher.
Yeah. We're going to do things. And I just wish people would chill out with the fact that this stuff is going to happen.
Right.
Use it as an experience.
Yeah.
Use it as an opportunity. Use it as a way to create generational wealth, which is why I speak of the legacy aspect of it. Yes, generational wealth, you can think of insert popular family name here that,
right.
Okay, yes, that's an example of generational wealth. I would submit, because I firmly believe that wealth comes in a variety of forms, that there is a way to pass down generational wealth that doesn't do anything in regards to money.
Right. Yeah. I wish we focused more on that. I feel like, especially in our day and time now with social media and all of these, in reality TV, we're really exposed and overexposed to lives that are really just not tangible for the normal person, or anybody that I know, to be honest with you. That unfortunately, the side of money that I think maybe, say my grandparents and maybe like when my grandparents were kids, I think that the side of money that was looked at then was more relational, and now we have flipped it and we look at the side that's more monetary. Because if you remember, you said way back when, money is not relational.
Yeah.
But we treat it as it is.
We treat it as if it's somebody at the table.
Yeah, that has a stake in everything we do.
That's correct. And I dislike the thought, and I'm not here to argue with anybody who thinks so, but I would submit that it is not a living, breathing thing. It is a resource. We've talked about it is not a renewable resource, which is why it can become guarded.
Yeah.
Because
it's mine.
Yeah, because we did work for it and things of that nature, which I understand that thought.
And it has value in our lives.
It does have value in our lives. Absolutely. But I would also say that typically resources are seen as beneficial. They create unity. They create lift.
Right.
And it is when we start doing this that they create division. Hence the reason, again, the estate documentation, the legacy conversations, I think these are super important. One of the things that I think every household, family meetings are super important. I speak to them in the book. Family meetings, meaning have these conversations. Start while your children are young. Let's remember that we get to teach them certain things, and we can teach age-appropriate conversations. Give your tithing money to your child to put in the offering plate. Use that as an opportunity to talk about things. It doesn't matter the money. It doesn't. Let them see it.
Yeah.
Let them see the amount, because To a 10-year-old, $100 is like
A lot of
what?
money.
You're like, and you get the opportunity to talk about that. When we talk about the 4 T's, you know, I like to think there's a fourth T. It's not just
You have
time,
officially
talent.
made it the 4 T's.
I think it's super important that if we think of only time, talent, and treasures, and we exclude our thought life, I think there's more opportunity to include thought life when it comes to these things. So again, when it comes to legacy planning, think about how we want to continue to invest and protect and grow our children, our spouse, ourselves, whatever it may be, our community, etc. So I think back to last year and Giving Tuesday, which is the day after Cyber Monday.
Yep, December 2nd, 2025. I know it well.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember, $6.25 billion was given by the Dell family.
Wow.
$6.25 billion.
I don't even know how to count that many zeros.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of
what's
zeros.
super cool is you know who the recipient of the gift is?
That's a no.
25 million children that they don't even know.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah.
That, to me, I'm thinking, what? I remember getting emotional when I read it. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
that is super cool. And so, in short, when you think about legacy, that is an example of someone who is super wealthy.
Yeah.
But I still want to emphasize that we get to live in a nation that allows this opportunity. And I think about the United States of America is one of, in regards to the various countries on the planet, it is one of the most generous nations. The people.
Right.
And there are benefits to the taxes aspect of it. Excuse me, I pointed to the wrong finger.
I cannot believe
I
you.
just did.
How did I get it right and you messed it
I
up?
pointed to the wrong finger. I'm sorry.
Tide has changed.
I know, I love it. But that's to me, that's the beauty of it all is how it can all be working homogenous, in sync,
Right.
and working towards something that people would like to see happen.
So this is a good place to bring up the tiers again too, when we're talking about
Tier 1, Tier 2, et cetera.
yes, and how that applies to legacy for somebody.
Yeah, so I use that terminology simply because I think people could visualize it better. So Tier 1, like you can think of the top shelf, the middle shelf, et cetera, Tier 1, Tier 2, et cetera. For me, I like to think about what are the Tier 1 things that you value, that I value, the Tier 2, the Tier 3, et cetera. And the reason I want people to think through that is because I myself have mistakenly and inaccurately chosen Tier 3 items and moved them to the top.
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to me, unfortunately, then my Tier 1 things took second place.
Right.
And when I did that, I literally remember, I'm laughing at me, if anything. But I literally remember, I can't remember how many years ago it was, but it was at least 5 to 7. It was a Thursday, and both my wife and my daughter were at home, and I chose to go play golf instead. And I mean, I could blame it on whatever I want, but the only person, quite frankly, that's responsible for that is me. I chose to go play golf on a day when I could have hung out with my wife and my daughter.
Right.
And so that's an example of how I permitted something that is important to me. It could be at the bottom, maybe Tier 2, okay?
Right.
It's definitely at the top of Tier 3. Yeah.
Creeped up.
I allowed it. No one else.
Yeah.
I could blame it on my buddies. They were all going to play that day. It's not their fault.
Right. Yeah.
I could do whatever I wanted, but instead I made a poor decision to go play golf. And I literally remember playing golf that day and saying to myself, what are you doing here? What are you doing here?
Yeah.
I didn't change. I still played. I could have, but I didn't.
Right.
And I think that's why I want to emphasize to everyone, if we don't pause in life and understand that, hey, these are the most important things to me in life, tier 2, tier 3, if we don't pause and take a moment to develop those and understand those, then when opportunity comes or when storms come, then adversity is going to make decisions for us.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to start with the opportunity. I think it's human nature to think about the storms.
But they do seem to be around a lot.
And I don't disagree with you. I've had them.
Haven't we all?
But again, the two sides of every dollar.
Yeah.
If you're going to talk about the storms, well, then pause and talk about the opportunities too.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you in my life, and I'll only speak to mine right now, but it is the storms that I have permitted in my life that have then negated opportunities.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
I'm the one that must accept responsibility for the things that I've done.
Right.
And so because of that, then
and I think
there are opportunities that I missed out on.
And that goes back to the legacy of being alive and not your legacy of being dead. Because let's just pretend for a moment that that's all you ever did when your wife and kid was home. Well, then when you're not here anymore, your legacy is going to be, that was my dad who played golf a lot. He loved golf. He played golf all the time, and all of his golf buddies are here, and they're sure going to miss him out there. He was, he was like the go-to golfer. And maybe there are people that's their situation. They have that kind of person in their life. But I feel like maturity moves our tears around, right? So in my 20s, if you'd ask me my tears, they look a lot different than my late 40s, right? Sure. And so now I'm sure Matt Miller has learned from experiences and choices, and he says, if given the opportunity, then that's not what I want. I'm not going to make that choice to do that thing again because I don't want my legacy to be that I was always gone or that was more important than what I really, truly valued. Because I'm thinking for me right now, Faith and my husband, and then there's my kids, and we start going down from there, right? I want to leave my children not money. That's not my heart's desire.
Yeah.
That's me personally.
Yeah.
I do know you're right, we have assets, we have things, and somebody will have to do something with those. But my heart's desire, as I'm growing stronger in my relationship with Christ, and he's changing and developing me and moving my tears all around, is that, I guess, and I may say it wrong, so please correct me, that my triple bottom line is to leave a strong legacy of faith. And in making choices in my life as we speak to give my children stones of remembrance so that when they go through hard times in life and they're faced with decisions, if they would say, what would my mom do? How would my mom handle this? They know exactly where I would go and what I do.
So let's run with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's build a real quick fictitious plan, but it's somewhat realistic. Okay?
And I use triple bottom line.
I love it. I love it. So
look at me learning.
That's right. Yay me. So if you take that being part of your triple bottom line,
right?
Okay. So let's go upstream. Okay. Yeah. And I talked about accounts earlier.
Yeah.
Well, then one way that if someone has the same aspirations as you do, then what you would want to make sure is that the beneficiary of those pre-tax accounts, I get super excited. I nerd out on this stuff. No, I'm serious.
Look at your legs are shaking. Yes.
Everybody listen, tune in right now. Because check this out. You can, if it's a 401k. So if you contributed to the 401k and that was tax deferred, meaning you didn't pay taxes on it. It grew tax deferred, meaning you don't pay taxes on the growth.
Right.
Okay. And then you gift that to a 501c3 organization, that money was never taxed.
Right.
That's fantastic planning. Mm-hmm. That's leveraging the system rather than the system leveraging you. We talked about that, right? Yeah. In regards to the debt episode. So when you think through things like that, well, then that's something that you and Jeremy can talk through, okay? And I would encourage then that being parts of conversation that your children understand why that is, so that you continue to invest in them. And I think that's the beauty part of it.
Yeah.
Because if we're not careful, then we can allow the world to
absolutely.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Rather than what the good book speaks of not allowing that to happen.
Well, and it goes back to that, okay, back to your triple bottom line. To me, there was 3 P's, right? People. So like for me, who's impacted? Well, you just gave a great example. If I was going to leave any type of financial benefit, which there may not be any, who knows? It could just be the Bibles and the Corningware for us and some fish and lures.
Yeah.
But it's having like my triple line, who are the people? Mm-hmm. Like, where's my heart? What's God leading me to? Is it purpose? Again, for me, does it align with the values in which God has me working within those spaces and those places, right? Or the calling that God had on my life. And then the provision. For me, I want to make sure my resources are stewarded well. I want to know that whatever I have, whether it's monetary or not, is it advancing the kingdom of God? Or is that whether it's the faith I've instilled in my children because they are going to go out and they're going to reach other people's lives? Is it that our ministry continues and it continues to pour into people's lives? Like, I don't know. That's a long way away. I don't know. But I know that that's my top tier. Like, I know that. And to me, everything past that, it's just kind of down. And
What's funny you said,
you stick it where it goes.
It's funny you said that because while you were just saying that, my response was going to be, it's a gravitational pulled thing. So that's why what I speak of is knowing your values. Okay. And you're in alignment with those.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, just in case somebody's jumping in the first episode here, if a married couple together, if they have 2 values, well, then there could be 2 values, 3 values, or 4 values because there could be some overlap in that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So if that's at the top, and then you have the 5 U's that are being carried out, which are the generosity, saving, spending, debt, and taxes, then what's cool about that, as I see it, is you get to see ways that your values are carried out. And because you get to see the way the money is going out.
Right.
Right. And then as that then distills down, then what we have left is this. Mm-hmm. Did we impact people?
Yeah.
Did we live on purpose? Which, by the way, let's not just skip over that. If someone chooses to live on purpose and that's part of their triple bottom line, then what I dig about that is that means they know their purpose.
Right.
Stop the record for just a second.
Yeah.
Seriously, because
we had this conversation earlier.
There's a whole lot of people that say they want to live on purpose, but they have no idea what the purpose is.
Yeah.
And define it.
Yeah.
And what I encourage people to it doesn't have to be some perfectly wordsmith thing that you're going to put on a poster board. No, just know what your purpose is. Worship, disciple, lead, teach. That's mine.
Yeah.
4 words. And in those 4 categories, I want to be doing things. Doesn't mean I do them all the time. Doesn't mean I mess up every day.
Yeah.
But those are the things that I want to be doing. So people, purpose, provision. I love the provision aspect of it too. And that's the cool thing of that visual. You can see how your life and your money and things of this nature are then being used and stewarded well.
Well, I mean, you see this in the Bible, right? You see this with all the people God called to do things. They knew their purpose. They knew their way. You see this with Jesus. He knew, Jesus knew his purpose. He knew what he came on earth to do. Mm-hmm. And he did it well. He used the resources he had. He used the time, the people, the relationships. I mean, he is a perfect model. Mm-hmm. And now, granted, he's not dead. He rose from the dead. Mm-hmm. But Jesus' legacy was happening as he was on earth with people.
Yeah, it was being lived out.
Yeah, like we talk about Jesus clearly as like he was and he is, but he is. His legacy continued because he is still within us and dwelling, and we will see him again. Mm-hmm. But he didn't waste his time. That's what I'm trying to say. His time on earth was not wasted by earthly tangible things.
No.
He fulfilled the purpose.
Yeah, and I would agree with you, and I would submit that some of the things that you just said, that's why it's hard to accept.
Yeah.
I mean, lived a perfect life. That's hard to accept.
Mark that one off my list.
Yeah. Well, and I just want to meet people where they are because I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not perfect. And, if over a cup of coffee, if you want to talk about the ways we're not perfect, then
I mean, we could be there all day.
I'd rather have different conversations. But that's life. So that's hard to accept sometimes.
Yeah.
2, we may not have the healthy relationships. 3, life is like one of my favorite trees, an oak tree. The big, huge, just sprawling oak trees.
Yeah.
We have those in Tomball, and they're just beautiful, and they just kind of go to the ground. Well, it didn't start like that.
No, it did not.
Right?
It's like a twig.
Right. Or from an acorn.
Yeah.
Right? And it over 100 years became that. So that's symbolic of the maturation process. So we're not mature by any means or any stretch of the imagination.
Nope.
So it takes time to develop these things. And that's one of the things that I wish we understood more and we accepted more, because one of the things that I can say that I learned from over time, learned from grandparents is grace, mercy.
Yep.
Because they're 80.
Yeah, absolutely. They've lived a lot of life.
They've lived and they've seen and said, hey, son, look, what? It's not a big deal. Yeah. It is a big deal. Whatever. Okay, let's think through this. Is it really? And that's one of the things. That's why
it's shaping the building.
It's that clay conversation, and that's what I remember sometimes on that porch. And that was many years ago.
Yeah.
All right, but again, I really wish people understood that when it comes to legacy, yes, there are various ways you can document that, and yes, there are various ways you can live that out. But to start including people early on, grandchildren, children, whether it's monetary or spending time in proximity. There are a lot of people that we work with that like to go on trips with their families, and to making sure that they're instilling this in them. I like the idea of families spending time together and doing generous things.
Yep.
Whether it is picking trash up on the side of the road, or it's working with nonprofit organizations, whether it's working at a soup kitchen, whatever it may be.
There is tons of work to be done.
There are exactly, and I would just go back to here in this country, there are benefits to that in regards to the taxes and things of that nature. So track that, document those things, leverage it, because it is available to you. It's made available to you because the system understands that it's beneficial for those that are receiving it.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Man, I feel like I was schooled today.
I hope you meant that in a good way.
Not mean in a good way.
Not like I was in a history class.
No, it is. It's so easy. Even being in ministry, it is so easy to only see the one side, which is always about money. Get more and more and more. When take. And just walking through each week, and even this week again, to take the time to remember to flip it over. So I wrote down some practical steps. Okay. And you can see, I'm going to read them so I don't mess them up. Yeah, okay. Go ahead. So if I get one wrong or you need to add to it, I want you to do it. Okay.
Use my words, not my water bottle.
Use your words, not your water bottle. Thank you. So here's some practical steps that I wrote down thinking, okay, how would I move forward in this? And I hope that some of you, they resonate with some of you. So first, you really do need to have an inventory of your assets and your debts. Mm-hmm. And I don't just mean monetarily.
Nope.
I mean like all the way around. And if you're like going, wait, what does that mean? Go back. You need to go back and listen. We got episodes that cover it.
Both wealth and debt come in various forms.
Yes. Begin thinking about or writing down your wishes for just distribution and influence. Mm-hmm. I think that's very important. It's something that I actually need to do in my own family, with my own husband. Communicate your intentions with your family. You frequently, like have these conversations. Don't wait until you're older and now time is of the essence and it feels like a hard conversation because now the clock is ticking faster.
Yeah, and if the concept of family meetings doesn't work because meeting sounds too business-like, use a different term.
Family dinners. Yeah.
Family walks. Whatever it is. Invest in the time.
Just time. Just carve some time out.
Proximity,
Consider, if you're able, professional guidance. And I will say this, we're in the Houston area. there are lots of nonprofits that actually do a lot of this stuff with people who are not able to do it. And so that could be a nonprofit that offers financial, advising. It could be an entity similar to yours that also does that. Same with attorneys. There are attorneys who work pro bono and they do these things for free. If that's not what you need, then you also need to consult with an attorney. Even ministry, there's different types of ways in ministry. If you're in ministry, you can do that, or talk to your pastor and share some of that with them and let them help the wheels get spinning. It's just like anything else in life. We are better together. God has given people many different gifts. My gift is not in financial planning. Now, I do know how to balance a checkbook and I know how to run a family business, literally like in my house. But I don't know tax codes. I don't know when they change. I don't know all the ins and outs to how to always make what God has given me on loan help me to manage God's money better. But there are resources, and they don't all have to cost you tons and tons of money.
Yeah, and I want to jump in there real quick. For anybody who's listening and wanting to do something about that, just remember you shouldn't have to buy something in order to receive something. And just throwing that out there is a cautionary thing.
Right.
Because sometimes things are given for free in exchange for the purchase of something. And I don't like that. Advice is advice. Yeah. And it's often not in the form of a product. Yeah.
And then if you're a Christian, again, because all these steps don't have a Christian, non-Christian base to them. But I would say for those of you who are Christians and you're wanting to further the kingdom of God, and you want to do work here as a part of your legacy rather than waiting for and trusting for somebody to do it on the backside, evaluate your charitable giving. Evaluate your kingdom focus. Is that your part of your triple bottom line? If it is, what are you doing now while you're here, while you're present, that reflects that in your legacy? And like I said, those are just the things that I kind of drew from this. But Matt, from your perspective and what you do as the professional in the room, what would you say is one practical step that is often overlooked that can make a big impact on people's legacy?
It's going to always come back to planning for me. And I want to throw in there for the Christian. When I say planning, I don't mean planning and sitting with someone like us only.
Right.
I actually mean, for the Christian, include in your planning the prayer life,
yes,
the conversation life, all of these things, remembering that in a moment's notice, life can change.
Trust me, and so, the Fergusons know that.
and so the open hand, the open ear, the open heart is going to be able to pivot much quicker. So it is, without a doubt, the best practice in the business world. And as we already know, I specifically state that if it's a best practice in the business world, then you can apply that to the home life and just tweak it to where it's more relational.
Yep. So in wrapping up, final thoughts for me. Legacy starts now, not later.
That's right.
I think that's super important.
And ongoing.
And it's ongoing, yes.
And evolving.
It's like infinity and beyond.
It keeps evolving. And it's important to accept that, because sometimes it's hard to say things differently, but it's okay to look back and say, hey, I understand it was different then, but now we're grown.
Yeah. You're not going to have, in your 20s and your 30s, you're not going to have the same mindset in your 40s. And I feel like I haven't gotten there yet, but I'm really close. I feel like in my 50s, I'm going to have another shift of maturity. And then 60, 70, 80, I'm sure it's going to look very different. But that's okay. That's called growth.
Yeah. Well, we
want to grow, and it's going to happen.
It happens to our physical nature just as much.
Yes. Estate planning can be looked at as stewardship. Mm-hmm. It can reflect your faith. It can reflect your intentional care for others. Mm-hmm. Again, I believe it should reflect your triple bottom line.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It will, one way or the other, I assure you. If you don't, it will affect your triple bottom line. Yeah. I assure you of that.
To do these things well, know your purpose.
Yep.
If you're sitting here today and you're going, I have no clue what my purpose is. What a great place to start. Like, that's your extra credit this week.
It'd be great extra credit.
Start thinking about what is your purpose. I don't care if you're 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. In every part of life, there is a purpose. What is yours today? Start there. And then watch how it evolves, especially when you include God into those conversations. When you're reading scripture and you're thinking about purpose and God starts lighting up your heart and guiding you places. It's an amazing journey to go on. So small step that you can start today.
Yes.
Know your purpose.
And I would submit that I do believe that for the Christ follower, your purpose will be about people.
Yeah.
Not me as a person.
Right.
And I just want to throw that in there.
Absolutely. Some great tools you can use that Matt has given us through this whole season is using our tears. And I don't mean the ones that cry.
I just thought about that. Yeah. Sometimes you can.
I mean, like the triangle, but if you need to cry, that's okay too.
Sometimes you can.
We're totally open to crying.
Be there for others.
You know the 4 T's.
That's right.
Super important. Tell them what they are again.
Time, talents, treasures, thought.
Yeah. And then again, that triple bottom line is going to just keep coming around.
I hope so.
To help. These are all tools to help guide your decisions. And these tools should be applied with prayer and just leaning on the Holy Spirit to prompt you. And that's a slow burn sometimes. It's not like tonight you're going to go to bed and God's going to say, here you go. You go through valleys, you go through mountaintops, you build, you grow.
I'm laughing at the voice you chose. Just simply, hey.
I'm very animated.
If Gabriel came to me or Michael came to me, I'd be like, whoa, bro, you scared me. Thank you for telling me just everything's okay. Yeah. If they came with that voice.
Yeah, well, it is what it is.
No, it's good.
So this week, we want to encourage you to review, plan, and pray about your legacy. What does it look like today? Where do you want it to be tomorrow? Again, I cannot tell you enough how much my thoughts have changed on my legacy today being way more important than when I'm put in a box and I'm not here physically anymore. Way, way more important to me now. Matt, as always, thank you for sharing. I did mean it nicely that I was schooled. Talking these weeks out with you, there's a lot of clarity. There's a lot of light bulb moments in really being more intentional with my thought process and how I see things and pausing. I can't tell you over the last weeks how many times something has happened and I've thought, that's debt, not monetary. That's taxing, not the kind of taxes that they take out. Even had an opportunity to talk to somebody about taxes in general and share your viewpoint and have a really healthy topic and discussion on the table to talk about. And I found that to be very enjoying. So thank you so much. As always, we encourage you to subscribe, like, and share. If there's someone you know who's going through some of these processes right now or they're having these hard conversations, maybe they would find this encouraging. Maybe it would take the sting of the conversation off a little bit. And so we definitely want you to do that. And as always, we want you to join us in our next episode because guess what, Matt? It's the last episode. We're going, oh my gosh, we are going to just go back and reflect over some of the things we learned. We're going to tie it up a pretty little bow on it.
Okay.
And we're going to send it out to the world.
I love it. I love it.
All right, guys. Well, until the next time we see you, keep stepping forward. And we'll see you next episode.
Adios.
Bye.